Yo, what's up, guys? The ultimate guide for Aurora. Definitely a very interesting dungeon, and a dungeon I really recommend people to farm early on, because you do get the bulwark to get immunity on your whole team, and that is mainly your main counter to Marvel in the early game. I think that Marvel in the first week is definitely going to rain havoc on everyone, being called way too OP, and the moment that everyone has immunity, they're like, okay, now they pick Marvel, I have immunity on my team, he pushes back a few, no one cares. So definitely a dungeon you really want to focus on early is Aurora. It's definitely a little bit of a harder dungeon because you always have to go for a strip. At least the moment you go into, let's say, the mid-game until Inferno, because you're probably like talking about like the hell stages. Like if you go for the really begin game, you can throw anything at it. You're probably good enough gear that you can kill it without having the immunity removed. But the moment that you get into the hell stages, that is where you guaranteed need a Dispeller. So Dispeller, I would pretty much say that these are the only two options out there. I am not 100% sure what she is going to do, though. Like, maybe she might be a good Dispel as well, but so far it's either the Heinrich or you go for a Viper. That's pretty much the only two options you have over there. For healing, this is kind of the point you will be picking up a Linglo, which is really recommended, but I would say for a mid-game, you probably go for 2 healers. And the moment I was running this, I was even doing 3 healers. So the team I was running when I was running this first in the beta was actually these 3 over there, plus you. Like, this is legit the team that I was running, and it was clearing. It was definitely having some issues with it, but I was able to clear health 3s with this. And that was pretty much my way of clearing this very early on, and it worked out very well for me. Would you say that, hey, I do already have like a proper DPS such as her, or you do go for something along the lines of this, or you do have something along the lines of this build? And those are definitely options that you could go for where you do already add a lot more damage. Oh, wait, you're not a buffer, you're a debuffer. I would say you could go for a Lily team if you do happen to have something like, let's say, that you go for a team where you can go something along the lines of a this plus this, maybe you remove her. Then you have a pretty solid team at hand here as well, because you have a lot of work from the Victor to just actually get a lot of damage in. I actually even have seen teams early on in the Hell stages where they actually did not go for any Dispel, but they went for a Biotin or a whatever element to just give more attack buff to the Victor, and then just go for a lot of damage on the Victor, and they completely ignored immunity. I think that this was even the way that a few people cleared the first Infernos on that. So that's definitely an interesting way that you could be looking at. But this is definitely one of those dungeons that I noticed myself on the Hell stage. It takes a while to actually be able to clear properly. It's definitely one of the harder stages out there to be clearing on Hell. And therefore, I had this team going in with the Tiamat. If I'm not going for Tiamat and I don't have a Heinrich, then it would definitely be something along the lines where you go for a Viper. And then this one is maybe removed as well. That one is for free. Then I would say I'm not 100% sure what I would put as final damage. Maybe I would go something weird and just try to finish it with dots or something. And just once again, get like super slow runs in, but just try to keep it safe, get a lot of dots in. Attack break them with the Viper, which is actually a really good one for that. And then nothing is actually really doing damage except for the dots. And I think that that would actually be a decent team, that if you're very early game, where it would still kind of work. Sure, Sanya is the wrong element, but it's pretty much still your best shot that you would have to use, because that's probably the only healer you put a lot of investment in. If you didn't do that, of course, this is a good option. Even better, she is a really good option, because she actually has a Dispel on the skill 2 as well. So that would definitely be a better option altogether for the mid-game on that. Do you already build the, like, let's say you have a bunch of more units built where you can go more for a speedy team, then I would say definitely these 2 are a must, or let's say that these 2 with this one is a must. I would say that you are definitely a must. But then you could say it's like, okay, maybe I already have something along the lines of a Lily plus a proper DPS, which could be you, or maybe build a proper Lindian Bout or something like that. Then that is definitely an option you could go for, or maybe even this. But if you go for something like this with a this, I think you're probably going to be maybe in a little bit troublesome state where you don't do enough healing. You probably have to get some skill ups in the Linglo before you can actually do proper enough healing. You definitely would need a Supernova on that to heal enough. Maybe a Gigabyte, something along those lines of shells. So that's definitely some of those things that you have to keep in mind. Like, okay, what kind of stuff are you working with, and how good is it going to get? Because in the end, this is definitely one of the more difficult stages. So let's talk about Inferno on this. What would we do in Inferno? Once again, for dispellers, it's still exactly the same thing. If you're super endgame, you can probably get away without a healer, but in most cases, I would highly recommend to go for that healer right there. I would still also highly recommend to keep in a Marvel, and then you already have 4 slots in there, and then it's just, okay, like, where are you going to put your damage from, which is definitely a little bit more of a difficult state. Sanya is not really going to help you in here that much. Oh wait, you have 3 units in here because this is not using the double. So from here, the most things that I've seen is a Lily plus a Rosa, or a Lily plus a Victor. Of course, not everyone is going to be having a Lily. So you could even say at this point you're gonna go for this. So if you remove the Lily, then you could go for something along the lines of this, where you get your armor breaks in, and then you do damage with one of those 2 units. Other units I've seen as good damage dealers are also pretty much these 2. There's those, yep. Or even a Messiah, so even these 3. So these are the options for damage dealers that you could go for, but the others in slot are kind of set in stone, which you probably have to use, unless you have enough damage where you can simply remove the healer/sustainer, and then you put one of the other units in here as well. So let's say that you have really insane Victor, but also really insane Rosa. Then you could go for something on the lines of, you go for this. Oh, wait, we removed the Messiah. That you go something along the lines of this, but then you would have to have very endgame gear, which would do enough damage to the Aurora, and therefore you can maybe take it out. But that's definitely not going to be that feasible. Another team which is going to be really good if you have it, and that is going to be very simple. We're going to use you over there, you over here, and we're going to be adding in a U, we're going to be adding in a U, and we're going to be adding in U. And this is by far the easiest way to clear it. You could even say that you remove this one for this. Like, I don't really put it in the right spots right now, but you get the idea. We have pretty much U3 as DPS, we have U as debuffer, and then these 3 are just supposed to kill the whole thing. The interesting thing is, if you're going Terramaton, these 4 units are also the core 4 units for Terramaton if you do go for the dot team. So that's actually the strength of the dot team. If I do pull a Shadow Sanya, I'm not sure how well she works without any of the skill ups, because I couldn't really test that. But it definitely would be one of those units that I'm like, okay, so if I get a Shadow Sanya, I don't really have to focus that much on damage sets on all of these units, or multiple units that I have to get a good damage set here and there and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. I just need to have the sets here that make sense. I have to get the Codex of Magic so they can move a second time, which is really recommended. But besides that, it's just definitely very easy to just get this team in and clear multiple dungeons. So I would actually be very happy with pulling a Shadow Sanya, because Shadow Sanya is one of those units that just makes the whole game very easy. And the moment they add any extra daughters to the game, which they're going to do at some point, Shadow Sanya is just going to improve in strength, because right now, there's no other proper SSR daughter in the game. The moment that they add another SSR daughter in the game, she's gonna become even easier for a lot of those stages. Plus, farming is something you have to do all the time, anytime, or most of the time anyway. So you're always gonna be farming. I know that from all of those gacha games, sure, everyone wants to be summoning, but most of the time, you're more farming than summoning. So that's definitely one of those things. For Summoners War, they were always like, isn't it like Runes War, which is like the modules and the shells in this game? It's like, we care more about the runes than we care about the summoning, Summoners War, that kind of stuff. But you get the idea on that. It is just simply very important to keep on point with getting all of your shells and modules in, and therefore you definitely do want to be farming Aurora as well. Also, if you haven't seen the other videos on the Doki Doki and the Terramaton of the previous 2 videos that are out there, check those out as well. Also, if you want to be seeing how I will be clearing all of those stages, plus shell stage, plus anything else, follow me on this YouTube channel, because I'll be making pretty much daily videos the moment the game goes live. Plus, I'll be streaming on Twitch, link in the description down below as well. Guys, thanks a lot for watching, and see you as always in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.